Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're attempting something truly colossal.
We really are.
We're taking the entire cosmos, from the smallest particle to the largest structures, and asking one single question. What is purpose?
And you, the listener, you've sent us this incredible stack of sources that they challenge the very definition of that word. We're going to be talking about the purpose of an atom.
Right.
The purpose of a cancer cell, the function of a galaxy, and then the big one. The modern human dilemma of finding meaning, especially in a world with AI on the horizon.
So our mission today really is to try and synthesize this whole nested hierarchy of purpose.
Because the word means such different things at different scales.
Exactly. The purpose of a star is fundamentally different from the purpose of, a life goal. So we're going to categorize these definitions, trace how human purpose evolved, and then really zero in on the crisis of consciousness right now.
It's a journey, really, from systems where purpose is just inherent, a physical function.
Like gravity.
Pretty much. All the way to systems like us where purpose has become this conscious, self-defined project. It's about making meaning.
Okay, let's just dive right in. We have to start at the bottom, at that foundational level where purpose is basically just function. What's our working definition down there?
At this level, it's pretty straightforward. Purpose is just the primary function or role that something has within the larger system it's a part of.
So if we look at an atom.
The atom's purpose is stability. It doesn't want to be alone. It's whole. Its whole mandate is to bond, to share electrons, to form a stable, low-energy configuration.
So its purpose is participation.
Participation, exactly. It's a building block. And by fulfilling that simple, physical, function-seeking stability, it inadvertently creates the entire material world. Rocks, water, us. It's all built on that fundamental purpose.
And if we scale up from there to the first unit of life, the cell, what's its job?
The cell is way more complicated.
Yeah.
Its purpose is all about survival and propagation. It has to maintain its own internal order, what we call homeostasis, and it has to replicate.
Right. Make more of itself.
And everything else, your entire body, every complex organism relies on trillions of these cells just relentlessly fulfilling that basic, you might even say selfish, biological directive.
Okay, so this is where we see that first big split in the road, the first bifurcation. Because once you get to the level of a whole organism, especially a human, you still have that biological purpose, but then we add this whole new layer on top.
We absolutely do. The biological or Darwinian purpose is simple. It's to survive long enough to reproduce and pass on your genes. That is the factory setting for every living thing.
But humans add conscious purpose.
And that's the game changer. That's where purpose transcends biology and becomes self-defined.
It's not just about replication anymore.
No, it's about seeking meaning, connection, growth, legacy. It's the purpose to create, to love, to know something, to serve someone. It's purpose built on choice, not just on a biological imperative.
So if we zoom all the way out now to the cosmic scale, things kind of get functional again, don't they? What's the purpose of a galaxy?
The sources describe it beautifully, actually. It's a cosmic recycling plant and a star-making factory.
I love that.
Its function is to cycle matter. It fuses hydrogen into helium, and then in the hearts of dying stars, it forges all the heavier elements. Carbon, oxygen.
Everything we're made of.
Right. It's a mechanism for chemical enrichment. Without galaxies doing that, you just don't get rocky planets. You don't get life.
Okay, but then the ultimate question. If the galaxy is a functional part, does the universe itself have a purpose? A telos, an end goal?
From a purely scientific perspective, no. It seems to just evolve according to its physical laws and constants. There's no discernible end goal that science can point to.
So all of this, the complexity, consciousness, it all just...
It's a stunningly beautiful but ultimately emergent side effect of those basic laws playing out over billions of years.
Wow. Okay, that's a powerful synthesis for the first part. The big takeaway seems to be this nested hierarchy. The purpose of each level is to create a stable foundation so that the next, more complex level can emerge.
It's like building blocks all the way up. And because we use that one word purpose for an electron and, a life coach, we really need a better vocabulary. We need a taxonomy.
And the sources give us one.
Yeah.
A philosophical taxonomy to break it all down. It outlines 7 key types. Where should we start?
Let's start with the mechanistic types, the ones where intent or consciousness is totally absent.
Okay.
First up is functional or structural purpose. This is the simplest. It's just the role a part plays in a machine. The purpose of a piston is to transfer force. Simple. It answers, what does this do?
And next up is one that trips people up. Biological or teleonomic purpose. It looks intentional.
It really does. Teleonomy is just the word for the appearance of purpose in living things. We say the purpose of the heart is to pump blood.
Right. It seems designed for that.
But no designer intended it. It's just that ancestors with hearts that pumped blood more effectively, well, they survived and reproduced better. It's a function that was selected for by evolution. It's historical, not forward-looking.
That's a critical distinction. Okay, now we move into the ones where meaning and mind come into play. Number 3 is conscious or intentional purpose.
This is the one we all live with. It's a mental state, a goal that guides your actions. My purpose in running a marathon is to finish the race. It's generated inside my mind and projected into the future.
It's what separates us from the cell. The cell doesn't intend to replicate.
It just does.
Right, and that flows into the next one, which is sociological or collective purpose.
This is the function you serve for the stability of your group. Think about a legal system. Its sociological purpose is to maintain order and resolve disputes, which keeps society stable. Or language. Its purpose is to allow us to communicate.
It's the role you play in the bigger human machine.
Exactly.
And then we get to the one we all wrestle with at 3 in the morning, philosophical or existential purpose.
Right. This is totally subjective. It's your chosen reason for being, and it goes beyond any functional duty. If someone says, my purpose is to alleviate suffering, that's completely self-chosen. It gives your life significance from your point of view, whether it helps the tribe or not.
And finally, the last 2 are more about the big picture. We've got systemic or emergent purpose.
This one's a bit of a mind bender. The purpose here isn't designed by anyone. It emerges from the complex interactions of all the parts. The classic example is the Gaia hypothesis,
where the entire biosphere acts like one system.
Exactly. The whole biosphere, through the actions of millions of species, ends up regulating the planet's temperature and chemistry to keep it suitable for life. No single bacterium intends to do that, but the whole system achieves that regulatory purpose.
That's amazing. So the functional purpose of a gear enables the biological purpose of an organism, which allows for the sociological purpose of a community, and it all contributes to the systemic purpose of the planet. It's all connected.
It's a whole spectrum of dependence, and understanding that spectrum helps us get into some really important nuances, because not everything that happens is a purpose.
Yeah, I want to dig into that. The sources make a big deal about the difference between a simple result, a function, and an actual purpose.
Let's use a rainbow. The light scattering through water droplets, that's a physical function. The beauty and joy you feel when you see it, that's an effect.
But nobody made the rainbow in order to be beautiful.
Precisely. Purpose implies anticipation. When I design a clock, its purpose-telling time exists in my mind before the clock is even built. So function is what it does. Purpose is what it's for.
And purpose can change, right? This idea of exaptation or repurposing.
Oh, absolutely. Purpose is incredibly dynamic. The classic example from biology is feathers. They didn't evolve for flight.
They were for warmth.
For thermoregulation, exactly. But once that structure was there, evolution repurposed it for flight. And what exaptation teaches us is that the current use often defines the purpose, not the origin story.
This leads us to a really tricky idea, what the sources call the parasite's purpose problem. What happens when something is perfectly fulfilling its purpose, but that purpose is catastrophic for the bigger system?
This is such a great challenge to our neat ideas. Think of a cancer cell. Its purpose is replication. It is supremely good at its job. It's fulfilling its function perfectly.
But in succeeding, it destroys the host, the body.
Right. So the system's definition of success is only local. It implies that purpose, outside of our own conscious, ethical choices, is morally neutral. Nature just selects for what works, for what's efficient in the immediate environment.
And that's why we, as humans, have to add that layer of ethics on top. We're the only ones who worry about the global long-term impact of a locally successful purpose.
We are. And that distinction is the perfect bridge to the human dilemma, because as our consciousness evolved, the source of our purpose shifted, and that shift is what creates so much of the anxiety we feel today.
Let's trace that arc. If we start way back with an early hominid, like a chimpanzee, what is purpose?
It's instinctual and immediate. It's about satisfying biological needs. Finding food, staying safe, mating. Purpose is completely integrated with the environment. There is zero time or brain power for philosophical doubt.
Then you move forward to the Stone Age human. Purpose is now practical and integrated.
Yeah, your purpose is largely given to you by your tribe and your surroundings. You're a hunter, you're a gatherer. Your purpose is functional. You contribute to survival. There's no anxiety about what to do because the world's constraints define your existence for you.
Okay, now let's leap forward thousands of years to, say, the 1950s. Purpose is still integrated, but it's become societal and narrative.
Right. There was a clear cultural blueprint. The American dream, the career ladder, defined family roles. Purpose was achieved by hitting social milestones.
Get the job, buy the house.
Raise the family. The anxiety of choice was there, but it was really dampened by strong institutions. The church, the big company, the rigid family unit. You just had to follow the script.
And those institutions have been crumbling. Which brings us to today, the transitional human of 2025. And here, purpose is hybrid and algorithmic.
We're all grappling with the collapse of those old scripts. A lot of our time is spent navigating the attention economy. Our purpose is partially outsourced to algorithms that tell us what to look at, what to buy, even what to feel.
We're constantly trying to upskill against AI to stay relevant.
It's this constant battle. Purpose is fractured. It's split between this deep internal search for meaning and these constant external demands for optimization and efficiency.
And that fracture is leading us somewhere very specific, to the 2050 human, the post-war human.
This is the ultimate crisis point, or maybe the ultimate opportunity. When survival and most of the functional roles we use for our identity are outsourced to AI and automation, the individual faces a terrifyingly blank canvas.
Purpose is no longer found in what you do to survive.
It's out in who you choose to become.
That is the ultimate freedom, but it's also the ultimate burden, isn't it? To have to create pure, self-justifying meaning where the system provides none.
It is. The human mind becomes the final frontier. And this is where we can get into some of the most speculative, really mind-bending ideas from our sources.
Let's do it. Let's start with physics, the thermodynamic purpose. This reframes all of life as a kind of rebellion.
It does. It starts with the idea that the universe is always inevitably sliding towards entropy, towards disorder, randomness, and heat death.
The second law of thermodynamics.
Exactly. And life, in this view, is a temporary, localized, anti-entropic agent. Our purpose, then, is simply to build and maintain these tiny islands of order, to create complexity, memory, systems, to fight against that cosmic tide of decay. We are fortresses of order in a universe of chaos.
Wow. Okay, now let's challenge the ego, the inversion of purpose, the idea that maybe we're the tool, not the tool maker.
Right. This comes in a couple of flavors. One is the classic selfish gene concept, that we, the human organism, are just an elaborate survival vehicle for our genes.
So our conscious desire to build a legacy or raise a family.
It's just the psychological trick our genes use to get themselves replicated.
Or, on an even bigger scale, maybe we're the Earth's tool.
That's the other version. That humanity's purpose is to act as the planet's nervous system, to achieve self-awareness for the biosphere, and, maybe most importantly, to figure out planetary escape. Our rockets could be the Earth, acting through us, trying to ensure its own complexity survives the death of the sun.
That is a wild thought. Okay, moving up another level into metaphysics. If there is some kind of conscious source or God, what could its purpose possibly be?
The hypothesis here is that a state of infinite, complete knowing is, well, it's static, it's lonely. So the source's purpose might be to know and experience myself in infinite finitude.
Meaning?
It fragments itself into billions of individual lives to serve as a vast data-gathering mission. We are here to feel the drama of being limited, of having to choose, of being surprised. Experiences that an all-knowing, infinite being can't have on its own.
And that brings us to the final and maybe the most provocative idea, which pulls from quantum mechanics, the quantum purpose.
This one suggests that purpose, much like a quantum particle, exists in a state of superposition, a cloud of possibilities, until it's observed. The universe is potentially both meaningful and meaningless at the same time.
And our consciousness is the measurement.
Exactly. It is only when a conscious mind evolves and asks the question why, that the act of living and searching for meaning becomes the observation that collapses the wave function.
Wait, hold on. So you're saying we're not discovering a pre-existing meaning that's hidden somewhere?
The implication is that we are creating it. The sheer force of our observation, our intention, our action, that is what collapses purpose from a cloud of potential into a single defined reality. We're not archaeologists digging for purpose. We are quantum creators of it.
That brings this whole journey full circle. We've gone from an atom whose purpose is just a matter of physics to a human whose purpose might be the literal creation of meaning in the universe.
And if you look at the anxiety that defines modern life, it's not really an absence of meaning. It might be the cognitive load of having too much processing power and not enough constraint. We evolved in a world of limits, and now we are adrift in a sea of infinite choice.
We've seen how the universe builds complexity, level by level, through functional mechanisms. And then, at a certain point, that system becomes complex enough to start assigning its own meaning. So here's a thought for you to take with you. Perhaps the deepest purpose isn't to find one final answer. Maybe it's to embrace the awesome responsibility that the search for purpose itself is the universe's most sophisticated way of reflecting on its own existence. What meaning will you choose to collapse into reality today?
Purpose. It's a word we throw around all the time, right? We talk about the purpose of the universe and then, our own purpose in life. But what does that word actually mean? Well, today we're going to dig into that very question. And trust me, the answer has way more layers than you'd expect. I mean, really think about it for a second. What's the purpose of an atom? And what's the purpose of a human being? It's kind of wild that we use the same word for both, isn't it? How can one little word stretch all the way from basic physics to our deepest, most profound questions about life? Well, that's the big puzzle we're tackling here. All right, to get our heads around this, we've got to start big. I mean, as big as it gets. We're going to look for the most fundamental kind of purpose there is, the kind that seems to be written right into the blueprint of the cosmos. So when we're talking about the cosmos, purpose has absolutely nothing to do with thinking or wanting something. It's what we can call functional purpose. This isn't about having a goal or a dream. Nope. It's just about the role something plays in a bigger system. It's purpose that's driven by pure physics, just cause and effect. And you can actually see this functional purpose playing out in these incredible layers. First, you've got the universe itself, right? Its purpose is just to follow its own physical laws, which creates a stable playground for everything else. Then, that allows galaxies to form. Think of them as giant cosmic factories, churning out stars and all the heavy elements. Those stars and elements then create solar systems, which provide these nice, stable, energy-rich homes for planets like our own Earth. And then a planet like Earth has the job of creating the right conditions for life. See how each level just sets the stage for the next? And it's all happening automatically, without a single conscious thought.
Okay, so we've seen the predictable, physical dance of the cosmos. Now let's zoom way in, down to the world of life. Because here, in the biological realm, purpose starts to mean something totally different. It gets a lot more active.
Biologists have a name for this: teleonomic purpose. It's a bit of a mouthful, but the key idea is that it looks like there's a goal, but really it's all just evolutionary programming. So a heart's purpose is to pump blood, right? But why? Not because it wants to, but because ancient creatures with hearts that pumped blood were more likely to survive and have babies. That's it. The ultimate why for everything in biology comes down to that same cold, hard logic: survive and reproduce. So here's the key difference, the big shift. Functional purpose is all about physics, what a part does. Biological purpose, on the other hand, is all about natural selection, what survival advantage something gives. It's like the difference between a rock rolling down a hill because of gravity and a plant twisting and growing towards the sunlight. One is passive, the other is active. And just like we saw with the cosmos, this biological purpose builds on itself in layers. You start with the cell. Its job is to keep itself running and make more of itself. Then you get groups of cells forming organs, each with a special job to do. And the whole organism, it's basically just a vehicle, a very complex vehicle whose main purpose is to carry its genes forward to the next generation. But, and this is a big but, this is where our story takes a really interesting turn. Because for pretty much every living thing, that biological drive is the whole story. But for one species, us, it's just the beginning. It's the launch pad for something way more complex. And that, of course, brings us to the final, most complicated layer of all: the human search for meaning. This is where purpose stops being some automatic background process. For us, it becomes something we actively think about, something we create, and yeah, something we really struggle with sometimes. What's so wild is how our idea of purpose has changed over time. I mean, think about a Stone Age human. For them, purpose was just given to you. You had a clear job in the tribe: hunt, gather, survive. Fast forward to, say, the 1950s, purpose was more of a narrative, a script you were supposed to follow. Get a good job, start a family, live a stable life. But now, in looking into the future, purpose is becoming a choice. With basic survival mostly taken care of for many, is turning into this internal project of figuring out what gives your own life meaning. And this whole shift towards choice is happening because we're playing on a whole different field. We're not just running on biological drives. We have conscious goals, things we actually want to achieve. We don't just live in a pack, we create communities with shared sociological purposes. And then there's the big one. We wrestle with existential purpose. That deeply personal, sometimes maddening, search for our own unique reason for being here. Okay, so let's recap. We have the cosmic purpose, the biological purpose, and now this complex human purpose. 3 totally different things, right? So how on earth do they all fit together? Well, the key is to see it all as one beautifully nested system, where each new layer of purpose is built right on top of the last one.
And the one big idea that ties this whole thing together is this. The purpose of any given level is simply to create a stable foundation so that the next, more complex level of purpose can even exist. It's not like one replaces the other. No, each one is the bedrock that makes the next layer possible.
So let's walk through that grand staircase one more time. It all starts with the laws of physics that create a stable universe. Out of that stability, life and biological programs can emerge, with the simple goal of surviving. From that biological drive, you get social structures that allow us to cooperate. And finally, from the safety and complexity of those societies, consciousness pops up, with the incredible and maybe frustrating ability to look at everything that came before and ask that one simple question, why?
And this is where we get to a really mind-bending, almost poetic idea. We're not just in the universe. In a very real way, we are the universe becoming aware of itself. Humanity is the way the cosmos finally developed a consciousness, the way it can look back at itself and wonder what it's all about.
Which leaves us with one last big question to chew on. Is purpose something that's out there, woven into the fabric of the universe, just waiting for us to discover it? Or is it something we create ourselves, something that only flickers into existence at the exact moment we become smart enough to ask the question?